Welcome to Dollars and Cents with your host, Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman from Falcon Financial Management.
Buenos dias, Gainesville, Ocala. You're listening to Dollars and Cents with your hosts, Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman. Jeff Davis, certified financial planner, president of Falcon Financial Management, creator of the integrated wealth management process, and a man recognized by Barron Magazine as one of the top 500 independent advisors in the country. My name's Chris Coleman. I'm the managing partner at Falcon Financial Management. And behind the glass, we have Lisa Meadows. Lisa, how are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. Mr. Davis is scrolling through some stuff there on the website. I'm going to bring him in and say hello, Hall of Famer Jeff Davis.
Hola.
Hola, senor.
Hello. How are ya?
I'm doing good. You coming off a big weekend last weekend?
It was. We had a good show last week.
Oh, man, well, tell me about the chaos.
Well, you weren't there.
I know. I was at the Final Four.
Final Four. Oh, okay. So, we're supposed to feel bad for him. He missed the chaos. No.
Did I ask for sympathy? Does this face reflect you poor pitiful me? No,
yes,
I was
did.
there having a whale of a time.
Yes, you were. And we were all we saw you in the stands, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We did.
What color shirt was I wearing?
You were wearing blue.
That's very good. I was. We were in Gator garb. You'd be amazed how many go Gators you get there, and it's Michigan and Louisville and Wichita Shockers, and it was a heck of a good time. But I want to talk about the Hall of Fame. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Jeff Davis.
Thank
From all the good folks at Falcon Financial Management.
Thank you.
You are now no longer a nominee. You are an entry.
An inductee.
Yeah, you're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really odd. I was sitting there last night, and I was all alone last night, which was just fine. It was nice. Finished work, got home. There's Rachel and John, a good friend of theirs. They wrestled with John at Chattanooga. Was coming into town, but the plane was late. They were going to come by, but they ended up not coming by because of timing issues. So I was sitting in the back looking at the beautiful Ring Park. I live right on the back of Ring Park, and so my backyard is a forest, and it's really cool. And reflecting, how different it was this Friday night than last Friday night at the same time. It was.
Oh, I know the build-up of activities leading up to Friday night that ran all the way through the weekend.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It was my birthday also that weekend. So, and my 60th birthday, we wanted to have a big party, and Rachel's graduation and other things were brewing, and it wasn't time to squeeze in another thing like my birthday. Okay, there it went. So we had a big birthday party, and to celebrate that and the induction, and it was something I've never experienced before, and I'd be surprised if I ever experience again. From the time to renting a tuxedo and showing up early to meet some of the other inductees and take pictures, and got to meet and they're really nice people. As I got to spend time with Rex Grossman, met his dad Danny. He's a good guy. And then we sat with Josh Fogg and Heather Mitz. They sat next to us on the dais. Heather Mitz was a soccer player, a two-time gold medalist. Josh was
soccer.
And Josh was played 10 years of pro baseball, and and then Mike Pearson, who's
football.
Yeah, boy, he was a big man, and he is now just a tall man.
Lost some weight, huh?
Oh, yeah, he was down to about 245, 250. I work out with Zach Sedalis a couple of mornings a week, and Zach went from 310 to 225, 230 last week, and
man, he doesn't.
Oh,
he doesn't look 228. Zach's a house of a man. Don't hurt me, Zach. Why would I hurt you? I don't know, but if you're thinking about it, I want to plead my case now.
He's an extremely nice guy. There was a picture that showed up of Mike Pearson and Zach was standing. They were standing on the sidelines, and Zach was so wide in those days. I mean, he must have been a foot wide. He was huge. But he had been the center for, I guess his last year was Rex's his last year was Rex's first year or something like that. But I think he played 1 year with Rex, and but they were, I was a little intimidated, to meet Rex Grossman. Man, he's great guy.
Did he throw you a roll across the room? Jeff, you're open.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He
was all civilized and stuff, did he?
He was, and for all of us that were getting inducted, I think there was a sense of unrealness to the whole thing. From, you sit there and they show this video of you and of your career and kind of what's been going on, talk about what you've done in your life, and you're thinking, I wonder if they'll do this good when I die. Will my funeral be this good?
That's terrible.
Well, they've raised the standard, Coleman.
Oh my gosh!
So
what a neat event, though.
Oh yeah, and then my brother and we stayed over at the Hilton, and I gave my house to my family, and thank God we did. We needed a place to get away, because from Thursday evening on, it was almost shake hands, smile, meet somebody else, shake hands, and I want to talk to that person. Oh gosh, it's like being on a wave, and you just keep getting
herded
from one place to another. We went, can you come over here? Can we take pictures? Can you do this? Can you sign? Walked in, and they had like 200 of these. I don't think you've seen it yet, but it was a collage, I guess that's what you'd call it, of all of the pictures that they're using for us for our Hall of Fame pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And then so they had everybody sign them, and then they gave us copies, but they're using them for Gator boosters and auctioning them off and things like that. But it's just, here, sign these 200 things. They had them laid out on a table, and
man, that's a day of paperwork in our office.
Yeah, but it was a big smile.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. Where how does this one look? How does this look? Hey, check out my signature.
Just like pieces of you just went all over the place.
Yeah, it was, and then Saturday was a great day. We had the Orange and Blue game, and we were sitting at the Orange and Blue game, and they, my dad and Dad were sitting there, and last night they had the Hall of Fame, and all of a sudden across the Jumbotron is this big thing that says Hall of Fame, Jeff Davis, wrestling. Oh, somebody take a picture, Oh, it's gone. Okay. Oh, that was really cool. About 25, 30 minutes later, or 40 minutes later, they did it again. Go, grab the camera. Oh, no, we missed it. So, somebody sat there with the camera the rest of the game, and they never showed it again.
Mr. Foley, if you're listening, we need Jeff on the Jumbotron so we can get a picture.
Yeah, it would have been cool to have a big picture of that one. But there's just I sucked up a lot of oxygen. That's the best description I can say for that weekend, and for a few days afterwards, as pictures rolled onto Facebook and the internet and things like that, it was like nobody needs to hear from Jeff Davis for a while, because he sucked up too much of the oxygen this time.
No, well, you deserved it. There's a reason you're in there. Take the moment, rub it on you like suntan lotion.
I will tell you that this is really proof that the older you are, the better you were. Because stories I was listening to, and I'm going, was I there? No, they were about you. Oh, because I don't remember it that way. I think I told you the story about the New York freshman, who car full of them, that they were telling the story.
Yes, yeah. When you're coaching.
Yeah. This is when I'm coaching, and then they decided that they were going to drive to Crescent Beach. Now, this is the 1970s, so there wasn't quite as built up between Gainesville and Crescent Beach, and I suggested that there's parts of that drive that they want to be more cautious in, because I could just see these New Yorkers.
Long hair.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, we couldn't remember in the 70s. We had restrictions about facial hair and how long your hair could be, and be able to wrestle. As soon as we weren't wrestling, the hair grew, the beards grew. But while you were competing, you had to have your hair certainly. Anyway, these guys were telling this story about driving over to Crescent Beach, and I suggested be careful, especially when you come back. Well, they're coming back late. They've been drinking. They locked the keys in the car in East Palatka. And
bum, ba-dum, bum.
people are, there's what I would call wolves starting to circle. Ooh, look, we got us a couple,
Pickups and shotguns.
whatever they were, and they said they called me. I'm listening to this story. Yeah, we called, and those cell phones, they had to use a payphone. They called me, and I guess they said I went and got the keys, drove out, chased the wolves away, and rescued them. Don't remember a bit of it. I'm going, me?
Yeah.
I don't think that happened.
Dang, that was awesome.
But that was a heck of a good story.
Shoot, yeah.
So, there was, no, it was the 1970s, and, I plead guilty. So
no, that's one whether you did or didn't. You just go, yeah, I got that.
Yeah. Sure, I did that.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, but there was many of those stories that I heard about, how good we were and how good I was, and no. First of all, let's start with the truth. I was not the best wrestler at the University of Florida. I'm fortunate that I got to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but I was far from being the best wrestler. Gary Schneider, who many people in our community know, Gary was the coach of the 1975 undefeated SEC champions that I was the captain of. Mm-hmm. And then he was also the first wrestler at the University of Florida to win an SEC championship. That's a guy that belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to do everything I can. That's one of the things that I was struck by. My induction was different than the other inductions. For the most part, you have to be out of school 10 years, finish with your sport for 10 years before you're eligible to be nominated to the Hall of Fame. It's been 79 was the end of the wrestling team, so it's been almost 40 years. Mm-hmm. And not quite 30 plus years since the wrestling program was dropped. And there's been no wrestlers that have gone in, and many people don't remember that there was a wrestling team. Especially athletes that have come in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. They have no idea that there was ever a wrestling team here at the University of Florida. And so this, I think, represented, and I know it represented because there were wrestlers, some of our wrestlers flew in from all over the country, which I didn't even know they were going to be there. It was just, oh, look who's, oh my gosh, look who's here. Oh my God. It was just a constant, oh my gosh. Oh
a drive-by of, hey,
cow.
wait, oh, beep, yeah.
No, come over here. I mean, I want to hug this guy. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you.
I don't know. You hug one of those guys, a match might break out.
Throw. But it was just, it represented to all of us wrestlers a recognition of the wrestling program, and I think that was the real key for me, and I think for all of us that came from all over the place, was that for so many years there's been no recognition of wrestling. The wrestling team got dropped, and that's it, and it just went away. It's like we won the SEC in 75. We were second in 74, 76, 77, and 78. So we were second 4 times.
Championships for Florida weren't exactly growing on trees during those years.
No, and we were undefeated for 2 years. We had a 34 match. At one point, we had the longest winning streak in the country. And
I think you and the golf team were. You guys in the golf team were.
And swimmers. Swimming was they were the kings. They won everything. They won national titles. Golf won some national titles, but they were.
Rob Ramirez in those years?
Rob Ramirez. That was the end of Rob Ramirez's career, but there was a lot of really great swimmers. We've always had a great swimming team, but that was a real. Bill Harlan was the coach at that time, and they just had to. I hate to even start naming, but the wrestlers and swimmers, we all got along really well together. We spent a lot of time with each other, but so it was nothing to have guys with gold medals and silver medals hanging around from the swimming team, but it was just back in the day, the wrestling team was pretty good, and we were. We still in the wrestling community. It's another one of those. The longer it's been, the better we were. When I'm around at the NCAA wrestling tournament, and you went to wrestle at the University of Florida. Oh, they were the best. And Well, we were good. We weren't the best for any, but it was a recognition of the wrestling program, and so it's like I started to say that I know where all those trophies are.
You didn't put them in the back of the trunk of a car, and
I'm not going to tell you where those trophies are, but I know that they're sitting in.
So you're about to tell me they're sitting.
No, they're sitting. They're sitting in on shelves amongst people that love them.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I would tell you.
We're gonna have to go to the President Book of Secrets to ever know.
Yeah, well, you know where some of them are.
I know nothing.
But when they dropped the team, they basically said, here, take it. Okay, we'll take it. Can I have those? Yeah, you can have those. Can I take that? Yeah, you can have that. And we took everything that they'd let us have. We took. So there's some historians amongst the old wrestlers that have got some. At my office, we've got one of my warm-up jackets and a singlet that's framed and put up there. And those singlets. It was hard to get a singlet or a warm-up jacket. Those
that was
the
gold.
Team, boom, we got the warm-up jackets. They didn't care about them anymore. So
I tell new clients that Jeff wears the singlet around the office every Thursday.
Oh. And is that why there's no clients that show up on Thursdays?
Yeah, exactly. Now you know. Folks, if you'd like to give us a call, the phone number here is 877-975-9825. That's 877-975-9825. And Jeff, you brought an interesting article to my attention this morning in regards to retirement plans, proposed changes, and it relates to folks' insecurity in regards to their retirement plans, and could government ever put their hands on them?
Well, I think it's another issue, Chris, that alludes to this. Does the government know what's best for you?
Mm-hmm.
And that the government can set limits on your success. That's probably the best way I could say it. Can the government put limits on your success? We've talked a little bit about the MSNBC, this furor over Melissa Perry Taylor, but the woman who talked about your kids are the community's kids, and that you should be that there should be that food, shelter, health are rights. That's what she said. They are rights, and it's okay for people to make a little bit more, but that creating this absolute safety net, and these are rights, and maybe they are human rights, but there's other ways to provide that than government mandating.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the community, the civic community, the churches, and things like that, and they can provide those safety nets, and I prefer them to provide those safety nets. I believe in the safety net. How are you going to do it? I think we all need to get in the boat and row together, rather than the government telling us, give us your money, we'll tell you where to sit, where to row.
We'll take care of it. Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
Here.
Now, this is, and this struck me, and the reason I wanted to share this was because I've been somebody who's been saying, don't worry about them confiscating IRAs. They're not going to confiscate them. They're not going to turn them into government savings accounts. And all of a sudden, I'm wondering, maybe I'm wrong. That Mr. Obama himself is suggesting that there be an absolute limit. Now, it's a high limit, but an absolute limit to how much money you can contribute to an IRA. That essentially, when you reach $3 million, you can't put any more money into an IRA. And it's been calculated on, I challenged their calculations like I would most of the pension calculations, but $3 million, they're saying, would create a $205,000 annuity for life. And that's what they said is, okay, if you give people $205,000 guaranteed, buy that lifetime annuity, it costs $3 million. I don't know where they're buying it, because I couldn't buy one for $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
But the government they can print money, so I guess that makes it work. But what they're saying is that at $3 million, you can't put any more money in it. Now, admittedly, we only have a client or two that's there or approaching that number, so it's not going to affect that many of our people today. But it's the idea that they can put a limit on it. And if you ask, from my perspective, $3 million, we would suggest that a 3.5 to 4% is a sustainable distribution factor for 30 years. So I think $120,000 is the most that $3 million is going to be giving you, not $205,000. So just the math from the start doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would challenge Mr. Obama to show me the numbers and how they could come up with that, because it's not a sustainable distribution factor. $200,000 coming out of $3 million. We're talking about more like a 5% of distribution. That's still only what, $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
6 is $180,000. 7 would be $210,000.
I have seen no such product.
So they're talking about a 6 to 7% sustainable distribution rate for life, based on this number. So
they did such a great job with Social Security.
Oh,
of
Chris,
course they're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's just that they're even talking about this. I mean, why put limits on people's opportunities to succeed?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lisa.
I got a question. The question is, I think, do you want a market economy or do you want a Soviet or communist or socialist economy? What kind of economy do you want?
Well, I hate to poison it by saying Soviet communist.
Wow.
And he's not.
She went right to the deeper heart of the matter.
Really, our flower child on the other side of the glass over here.
Wow. Holy cow. Burn, baby, burn. She's singing Aquarius back there. Look at her go.
I think I think that's a valuable question, and I don't think that I think it's a question that we're answering too late, actually. I mean, if you wanted to have an experiment in more government controls and socialism and what the impact is going to be, if Europe's already been doing it.
Or you could ask one of my friends from Cuba back in the 60s that came in on a plane,
Right.
and 3,000 people a day came in our hometown, Miami, and they some of them were doctors, lawyers. I mean, they were pretty, well educated and just, had a lot of money people before they left.
Well, I'm thinking more like, a big country today like France. How much? What is the effect of, that system on the French or the Germans, or that they've traded benefits they've given up some controls for those benefits, and unfortunately what they found is that there's you can't tax enough.
Could Greece be a mirror of what could happen to us? What's happening in Greece?
I think that's the most extreme. That's a nightmare.
That's too extreme, you think?
I think
Okay.
that's too extreme. But what you see happening in Italy and Spain and Portugal and France and just about every other country in Europe, it's been very, very difficult. And people talk about China being the great economic tiger of the East, and what it's those guys got more problems than you can imagine. They've got a huge gap growing between the aged and the one-child policy. Boom. All of a sudden, a sustainable replacement rate to keep your population from going down is 2.1 children per couple.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have one, that tells you that at some point, population stops growing and population starts declining. Now, there's a lot of parts of China where the rules that are made in Peking are just,
It's a lot of real estate.
yeah,
Let's see
they're
rules.
way
Have
over
you-
there, and
Yeah.
we're over here. You have as many
Yeah.
kids as you want. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Plus, they have a communist news agency, so we don't really know all the things going on there.
And I don't know. I wouldn't call it. I don't think they even. I guess they are communist, but they're not communist. I mean, they're communist in name, but they're not a communist country in the sense that you can do well, you can work, and you can make money, and you can rise. And they have a huge growing middle class. A huge growing middle class does two things: one, it wants more stuff, and two, it wants more money. And as they want more stuff, they want more money so they can have more stuff. you find what happens is prices go up for labor. Well, they are essentially, in some cases, pricing themselves out of being competitive. What brought all that industry there was cheap labor. Well, now it's just labor.
Well, that would reflect some of American companies coming back and the growth
absolutely.
in industrial production here.
Well, and you know, they've abused their environment in China. The greenhouse gases are raising. You talk about the whole world's temperatures rising. It's not rising in the United States like it's rising in some places in the East.
I think it's hard for us to get our mind around the kind of growth they're experiencing.
Well, they have a whole different form of government. Like we're lucky we have the FDA. Well, they're not the greatest, but they're good. And we have, all the regulators regulating things supposedly here. They don't have that there. And you'll go and you'll see factories next to big, tall, what we would call condos. Factory right next door where people are breathing it and where it's in the city. So unplanned growth is what I'm trying to say.
Zoning issues.
Which cause pollution terribly.
Well, they don't care. They haven't in the past, and that's why, when they could throw 10,000 pigs into the river, dead pigs.
Yes.
That was. I mean, but they are doing
Say
it
what?
in protest. Oh, okay.
I don't know about the 10,000 pigs.
Yeah, then I'm not
You
sure
should have
which
said a
river
joke
it
like a
was.
rabbi and a priest walking
No,
to
No, it's a protest, as I understand it. It's a protest of the bad water, and it was killing the pigs, and the farmers threw all the dead carcasses in the river to protest that the water had been so polluted by industry that you couldn't drink it yourself, you couldn't wash with it unless it had been, you boiled it and cleaned it, but you fed it. If your animals drank it, they died.
Yeah, that didn't help the water any,
Don't
though,
drink
did
the
it?
water if you go there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 1 minute. Oh, I got so many more things. Where's that other guy? Lang. Tell Lang his show's canceled today.
Sorry, he's in town.
Oh, Michael,
say it.
your show's Michael. I'm going to be giving you a call. I've got a flash of light on my right eye, and it just zip, 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 zip. It's like kind of distracting. And looked it up on the internet, and it said call the optometrist. So I know an optometric physician personally, and I'm going to call him.
You should be call one. Or you could open up his show and ask the question directly.
Ooh.
Actually, I don't know if that can happen. He's got that multiple station thing going down. There's the 30-second warning. Folks, if you'd like to give us a call, Financial Management, the phone number is 352-375-7977. That's 352-375-7977. Or you can check us out on the web at www.ffmonline.com. That's www.ffmonline.com. Jeff, it is always a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Chris. You have a great weekend, and wish everybody a great and fabulous weekend.